Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 95 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number one podcast in Canada. We're recording on Monday, August 28th, 2017.
I'm Tim. I'm a sports shooter, father of three, and the owner and operator of Tim's Good T-shirts. They're quite good. I'm also a proper-handed descendant of beer-drinking immigrants.
I'm Gavin, business owner, gun enthusiast, hunter, atheist, content provider for Toxic Kodiak Pathfinders, and host of the Greater Toronto Area chapter of the Tactical Beard Owners Club, and recently found out that I am a proud third-generation anti-communista.
Cool. It was part of your...
Yeah, my family's on the my shit list, yeah. Yeah, my family is on the shit list officially. Well, not anymore because there's no more, paperwork. But we were officially on the not cool with the government list.
Nice.
Oh, cool. And Marty has given me the go-ahead.
Fine tradition.
Marty has wanted me to say that he is a hunter and a sports shooter in rural southern Ontario, and he'll be on shortly.
All right. As always, my name is Andrew. I'm a recovering libertarian, competitive shooter, and a firearms instructor at Ragnarok Tactical.
Then we would love to hear your feedback about the show, so please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. We love your hate mail. We don't get nearly enough of it, and you can check out the edited version of the show on Stitcher or iTunes. And if you use iTunes, we'd love some more 5-star reviews. And when you do that, put down something you'd like us to drink in the comments. I know we've got to go do daiquiris again, and I think there was something else, so we will get to that now that I'm back from a couple of trips. But yeah, 5-star reviews, leave them because we love those as much as your hate mail, maybe even more than your hate mail.
I miss hate mail. If you want to follow the podcast on social media, you can do that at facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast or on Instagram, instagram.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast. There's a theme there. Look for us on things, and then in those things with Canadian Patriot Podcast.
We need your help. To support the show, visit www.patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get the uncensored audio version of the show for just $1 per episode, and the more you pledge, the better the rewards are.
All right, let's go into what are we drinking. Gavin, what are you drinking?
I am drinking what's left of a bottle of Crown Royal vanilla, and then probably moving on to another mostly empty bottle of Dickel that's been sitting on this desk from another previous episode of recording.
Wasn't that Smeagol's brother?
I believe it was, actually. His half-brother, though.
Yes, you're right. The fishing buddy.
Yeah.
What are you drinking, Tim?
I'm drinking my bug-out bag Wisers and reverse osmosis water.
Is that some low-T Wisers?
You're drinking the emergency booze?
Yeah, I got to rotate that out.
Okay. I was worried that you'd run out of other booze and we're down to the emergency booze.
No, tomorrow.
It's just the rotation. I see. I'm with you. We can safely assume that Marty is drinking Sailor Jerry and Coke Zero. And I'm drinking Crown Royal Maple because I'm boring like that. Also, I've run out of Crown Royal Maple.
Uh-oh. They really do need to give us a sponsorship. I know Sean tried valiantly, but sadly they didn't say that they would do that. But one day, maybe when we're more famous. So give us those social media likes and send us more cash on Patreon so we can buy more Crown Maple for Andrew.
There we go. Free booze for me. All right, let's do the news. We've got a big show tonight. So I really want Marty to be on for this, though. The first story came from Marty. It's not much of a story. It's from the Ottawa Citizen. Police recovered 40 bullet casings. I think they just mean cartridge casings from a shootout in Nepean. So this was just past weekend. Hey, Marty's here. Good. I can stop stalling. We can just re-record this part. Yay! Through the magic of editing, everything will be fixed.
Where we at?
We're just going to start the news, and I was just saying how sad I was that you weren't present because this is a story that I think you sent me. So I'll
Ottawa Citizen.
Yes, the Ottawa Citizen reports that more than 40 bullet casings were recovered from an Nepean shootout. I think they actually mean cartridge casings, but who am I to judge? They're journalists.
I'll send you this one, but it's interesting that the link, the actual address is more than 30 bullet casings, yet the story tells more than 40 bullet casings.
Yeah, it's almost like they went back and edited it after they published
50 bullet casings.
75, you say?
Literally any number of bullet casings. I don't know. So it looks like gangbangers were drive-by shooting one another near the Algonquin College campus in Ottawa. You didn't send this to me, Marty?
I did not send this one to you.
Oh, okay. I thought this came from you.
You know, if we just had more youth drop-in centers.
Well, I'm sure that couldn't hurt. Also, Ottawa police would like to warn law-abiding citizens that the occupants of the gray Honda that was involved in the shooting, any occupants thereof may be armed and dangerous. Because, you know, the whole illegal guns thing. So if you see a gray Honda, I don't know, call the Ottawa police. This is the worst article ever.
Yeah, there's for listeners that haven't read the article, Andrew has now read the article.
Well, I think they'll also be easy to spot because they'll be the guys walking around with 8 magazines on them or more.
Well, I mean, at 5 rounds apiece, 40 rounds. That's a lot of magazines to get through.
Yeah, so they'll be easy to spot because those take up space.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to bring up with this is obviously we are all making light of this situation. Gun laws do not stop criminals from being criminals.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. Are you saying that if I make a law, someone who's non-law abiding is not going to follow it? I'm not following here.
I think that's exactly what he's saying.
You see, one another is illegal. Okay.
What if I
doing it with guns that are illegal? Also illegal?
Well,
still seems to be not working because I'm sure.
Well, but wait, hold on. If I kill somebody with a prohibited, does that two wrongs make a right kind of a thing? It's a double negative, so it cancels.
He makes a good point. Yeah.
I think that's a thing. Yeah, pretty sure.
Could be a thing. Let's talk
we
about
need a legal disclaimer on this show saying that anything we say is not valid legal advice, but
a lot of it is, though.
If you'd like valid legal advice, contact the Coalition for Canadian Firearms Right and pay for your legal insurance. I think it's $20 a year.
I think it's a little more than that, but it's worth it.
Slamfire Radio. Anything that those guys say, gold.
Yeah, or any of the other podcasts. Yeah. For Furlot, he is a legal expert.
So 40 bullet casings were recovered.
On it.
So 40 brass were recovered. One person suffered minor injuries in the mayhem. Unclear if he was actually involved or if he was just there. And seems like they have 0 suspects, 0 victims.
Yeah, they weren't involved. They were just walking by. They were probably going to go read to deaf kittens.
Yeah, they were on their way to church, and
the intern has come through. The CCFR legal advice is $16 annually.
Nice.
The legal defense is $92.
So worth it.
So. If you don't want to take our legal advice at face value, which is approximately the same value as a Canadian penny, probably want to get in touch with the CCFR and talk to a real lawyer.
I think listen to the podcast. Forget about that fancy schmancy insurance, and you gotta restock your bug out bag, Mickey, of whiskey.
Yeah, that is solid advice. that advice there
For
is-
the low price of $1 an episode, if you become a Patreon, I could be an expert witness in your trial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll have advice coming out your ass.
that could actually be an interesting Patreon for like maybe $3 an episode. The panel will be character witnesses for you at any legal proceedings.
Dial an alibi.
All right.
Well, that's at least like $8 an episode for an alibi.
Yeah, what was he? Yeah, shit. We were at his place. We were those. What do you call them? We were the gays.
Yeah.
In other
But
news of illegal things
what's
that are
really
illegal.
shocking about this article was it's revealed that a startling lack of solidarity amongst Andrews. So this is written by Andrew Duffy, and Andrew doesn't like the article and kind of threw the writer under the bus. So
I'd throw that guy right out of a helicopter. This is poorly written.
it is poorly written. Nice try, Andrew Duffy.
Random tangent, which has no point being on this podcast, but what do you guys suppose with files from Shemini Ugaritnam means?
Yoga Retinum.
Yeah.
Stock photo.
And it's just no,
Stock
but
photo?
the photo has a separate credit, Julie Oliver, Post Media.
Then I literally have no idea, and I'm ready to move on because I'm just going to edit this out later because it's boring.
No, but this is
I'm just curious. I'm like, this article has zero information. So who the fuck are they crediting here?
Yeah, we're gonna crack the Yoga Retinum case wide open.
All right.
I wonder if those
hold
files
on, I'm
are
getting-
stored in the room at the Shakespeare's Arms that we found when we were having some adult beverages there.
Could be.
Room where people don't pay their bills?
No, that's a separate room.
Oh, okay. I'm confused there.
Same location, but separate room.
Yeah, I'm still not clear who this Shemani Yogurtanam person is. There's lots of
It's
pictures
kind of a weird-
of them and bylines. There's some kind of a journalist.
Like definitely edit all this out, but it is a weird thing there, right? Like that's not normally in the end of an article like that.
No, it's super.
They have
That's
Twitter.
fucking gross. Yeah, no, they've got Twitter and they've got a bunch of byline stuff
And
and
LinkedIn.
Facebook reporter at Ottawa. So they're a reporter. They
In the
credit
present.
themselves as being an actual reporter.
They're a Facebook
And
reporter,
they have
is what I'm hearing.
No, they claim to be a reporter at the Ottawa Citizen and live in Ottawa, but they have bylines on a number of newspapers.
Sounds
I don't know.
dicey.
This person is irritating,
Well-
and I don't even know them. I haven't even read their work.
Well,
and
good
they
luck editing
irritate
all
me.
that out.
Well, we got to give it at least another
Sorry,
minute
it
or
was
two
just
because Gavin's busy.
Yeah, it was just an oddity in the article. I'm like, what the hell does that even like? That's never there normally.
Yeah, giving some credit. She also helped.
All right.
Oh my god, the fucking comments on this article are terrible.
On the previous one?
Yeah, on the Ottawa Citizen. Cyan Al-Zahari. I don't know why you guys make this a scary thing. We don't have school shootings nor innocent people getting shot going home for no reason. These people have blood on the table and problem they want to settle between them. They want to keep it between them. It wasn't one car shooting at a random family's car. It was two different people shooting at each other from different cars, so obviously it was a personal matter. This is why Ottawa is very safe. Except for child porn, we see that a lot.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
That's awesome.
Okay. Well, the child porn, that's easy to explain because of all the politicians.
I was going to say the
Because
migrants.
obviously,
Okay.
obviously you're going to have all the sexual deviants, the degenerates. Obvious, like that's easily explained, and he's right.
I was like, okay.
You know,
so
the
like, they
violence that
started
you're
off,
seeing
I'm like, oh,
is
okay.
gang on
they're not
gang
gonna be
violence.
like, yeah. I'm like, okay, they're starting off pretty good. They're like, oh, this isn't a scary thing. Oh no, they're actually just using up all the good oxygen.
Yeah, I like that. Would you guys stop freaking out about this gang shooting? I'm trying to look at child pornography over here. We see that
That's
a
what you
lot.
get in a city full of politicians.
We see that a lot.
Yeah, stay away from
Really?
the pizza shops in Ottawa.
Really.
Stay away from Ottawa.
Surprised there was a shooting in Ottawa though, because there's a lot more stabbings than shootings. It seems.
One person is
Oh, good. Gavin's back.
suggesting more police and more surveillance cameras.
Well, you want to look real good for when you get shot.
Yeah, you know what? Those
Yeah.
surveillance cameras.
They better get me on my good
All
side.
right. So in other news of stupid criminals don't follow stupid laws, the Alberta Alert Team, which is the Alberta Law Enforcement or Alberta Law Enforcement Response Team, it's their like guns and gangs unit. They've busted a machine shop that was illegally manufacturing Mac 11 machine pistols. There's fear that
one
four of
guy
the
in the
homemade.
shop was
Well, one person in the shop and another person who had access to the shop without the owner's knowledge were manufacturing an undisclosed quantity of homemade machine guns, and Alert is concerned that of these homemade machine guns may be on the street. I am a little dismayed about the reporting of this though, because it is the CBC. So 2 people face charges after several high-powered weapons were recovered from a machine shop in Parkland County, west of Edmonton. One of the accused was an employee at the shop. For anyone who's not clear on what a Mac 11 is, they're chambered in .380 auto. That's smaller than a 9mm. You know, the smallest commonly used center-fire handgun cartridge.
Totally high powered.
calling these
yeah,
high-powered.
These would be 380 majors, I guess.
Yeah.
So that right, like, no.
There's also seems to be a large concern from the author's perspective in this article about the ability of the Mac 11 to fire 32 rounds in 2 seconds. The Mac 11 has a factory 32 round magazine. Those are very prohibited in Canada. You're not allowed to have fully automatic machine pistols or
Yeah, but 32 rounds in 2 seconds. That's a lot of mag changes at 5, or let's say 10 rounds apiece, right?
well, yeah, if you're using pistol mags. But I mean, this is like literally somebody looked up like what is the cyclic rate of a Mac 11? 1,200 rounds a minute. Some quick arithmetic. Oh, I can discharge an entire magazine in 2 seconds because math. This is fear mongering and stupid.
And you can, but maybe your first shot will hit something, but the other 31 shots are going to be like high and right.
That's government funded.
Apparently, the Mac 11s are
Fear-mongering.
going for $5,000 a piece on the black market, which I feel is a little bit overpriced.
Yeah, that definitely sounds way overpriced. I mean, it really doesn't cost.
That's way more than I paid for my last one.
Yeah. As a side note, I found out that I could buy AKs on the Albanian black market for $300 a piece.
Now you're talking.
300 Canadian dollars?
US dollars.
Oh, okay.
But that's
So
still
roughly
So
5,000
that's like
Canadian.
$500. Yeah, 1,000. Amazing.
well, no, our dollar gained in the last
Yeah.
few days, so like $6.50.
Let's just call this as it is. This is just government coming down with bullshit regulations on and crushing the entrepreneurial spirit of manufacturers in Canada.
I'm curious why
Again,
they went
it's,
with the
you know-
Mac 11 though, and not like a Sten gun. Because the Mac
according to the
11
art-
seems like a little bit.
smaller.
Well, yeah, but a little bit more work. I guess that's why it commands a high value.
Yeah, but you don't have
According
that
to
gangster
Alert.
appeal.
Well, that's what it is. Apparently, according to Alert, these are status symbol guns. They're apparently the instructions are easy to find, and apparently these are easy to manufacture, and gangsters like them because they look cool. Like this is literally pieces I'm pulling out of the article.
Okay. Well, all right. Like we're shit talking a lot here. In all seriousness, we've mentioned this before. Guns are easy to manufacture, and a fully auto is as easy to manufacture as a semi-auto. If anybody wants to manufacture whatever they want, they can. This isn't a like you don't need a special 3D printer ghost gun or with the technology that's been available for 100 years now. Anybody that wants to can manufacture a firearm.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing here is they're like, oh, there's a demand for this. I can just make it and I'll make it and sell it for a large amount of money, just like people that manufacture narcotics. You know, there's a demand for it. They're just gonna manufacture it and supply that demand.
Yeah, and I would say that manufacturing narcotics is harder because you need some chemistry background. These Mac 11s look pretty friggin' simple. It's like, you know, pretty much just a rectangular piece of metal that's got some pieces milled out of it, and then a few more internal parts. They're quite simplistic in design, really.
Yeah, a drill press and a file looks like it would get you most of the way there.
Yeah,
Yeah, these
pretty
are
much.
made out of sheet metal. They're not difficult.
Yeah.
So
If you can make a duct, you can make.
Pretty much.
is it a 6-story duct, or is it just a little duct?
Just little ducts.
But
All right. We also have the CBC freaking out.
I was gonna say, I mean, like, let's again. This is the example, and this is sort of the argument against, you know, a lot of the gun control. Is that
yeah, I'm
the
curious
gun
though,
control
if we were
laws-
to put one of these Mac 11s up against, say, like a you know, manufactured at the actual facility, how many minutes of duck difference would there be between like a factory one and these, like, you know, illegally manufactured ones? You know, I'm just curious how they would compare quality wise.
I think
you know, for
I think
science.
they would both have about a minute of potato.
Fair.
Little potato.
But yeah, that's it. But anyways, like going back to like the gun control argument is that this is it. Like if you implement gun control laws, your law-abiding people are the ones that are going to be affected by it. The criminal element,
Right.
just like you see here, they'll just make it if they need to. Like the laws don't apply to the criminals.
Yeah, I'm pretty
So
sure the
whatever they
status
want
symbol of these, if they were not prohibited, would be pretty much taken away.
So we all have PALs and firearms licenses, and we can't have Mac 11s because the government says that they're too dangerous for us
Them
to
prohibit-
own.
But it makes them
Correct.
cool to have.
Yeah.
And
All right,
despite
other
that,
scary thing-
these being a very like anemic cartridge.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still baffled by the whole high-poweredness of the 380 auto. That's
Like,
Well, anything over a spitball is high
anything
power.
smaller than that. That's
just like what?
is there a smaller centerfire handgun cartridge?
32, and then 25. But why not do
Yeah, but
something
that's,
really like
prohibits
make it
as well.
make it really high powered, and once you make it out of 38 super.
I don't honestly. I don't know if the Mac 11 would be able to withstand the immense pressure of a 38 super round.
You can
Oh,
make it
definitely.
however you want it.
Oh wait, what?
No, I think you'd blow up your Mac 11 if you went to like. I think even 9mm would be pushing it,
Yeah.
but that's not really anything that is relevant to our listeners. We're just shit posting about ballistics.
Chamber precious.
I'm sure
I
that's
feel like
very
our
relevant
listeners,
to
for the most part, is pretty relevant.
Yeah. I guess just shit posting about anything is pretty much relevant to anyone that actually listens to the show. That's why they listen.
Moving
All
on
right.
to other scary things from the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, we have what you need to know about the handguns Canadian police carry, which is another article completely devoid of facts and useful information. Up to
I
the
could rate
point
this.
where it's
I could write this article. Don't break the fucking law.
well.
No.
This
Let's start off with the
article's
photo.
There's so much bad information in this article. Oh yeah, the photo, the Glock 29 10mm. Okay, find me a police agency in North America that carries 10mm handguns. I'll wait. Just find me one. Why would you use that as your stock photo? And it's a Glock 29, so it's like this big. You can't have it be this big and be a duty handgun. It doesn't work. It's
No.
Duty.
So here's the thing. Here's the CBC doing an article on the scary firearms that the police carry. What did they choose for their photo for this scary article? A prohibited handgun.
Oh man, it's turbo prohibited. The Glock 29's got like a 1.3 inch barrel. Like this thing is anemic. It's tiny.
This is just such fear mongering. What you need to know about the handgun Canadian police carry. Look at this super prohibited handgun that they're using as their photo.
Yeah, and
This is
And
such
they're talking about
propagandistic bullshit from the CBC.
I'm impressed. Honestly, I'm impressed if the article is right and Winnipeg PD actually carries the Glock 35. Because the Glock 35 would actually be kind of a badass duty pistol. I mean, it's in 40, which is stupid. I hate 40 caliber because it's like the worst compromised caliber ever. But that's a fair size handgun.
People. No compromise.
Like the 35 is a fair size hand. Like that's a large pistol.
40 exists because of IPSC and USPSA and nothing else.
Well,
And people with too much money. But yeah, that 35 is kind of a ridiculous looking duty pistol to be honest.
it's the 34 in 40,
like a long
40
or, yeah.
not 40 millimeter, 40
So-
Smith and Wesson.
What I
Yeah,
like about this
slide
article,
gun.
what I like about this article is that this article is titled "What You Need to Know About the Handguns Canadian Police Carry." Then it's followed by nothing factually correct for the rest of the article. So what you need to know about the pistol?
Close.
Yeah.
So this is following an officer-involved shooting in Winnipeg on August the 7th, where police say that the officer had his sidearm in a holster when he opened his car door with one hand, holding his lunch in the other hand. As he sat down, the gun. This is a quote from the Winnipeg PD. As he sat down, the gun somehow went off, bullet striking him in the lower leg, severing 3 arteries, and as of last week, he remains in hospital.
Okay.
In
Let's not even talk about this
professional
article
terms,
here.
we call this negligence. He negligently shot himself in the leg.
Yeah, I'm curious how it just went off.
Well, the
Right.
the
That's,
link
let's
the
not
link
even talk
in
about this
the-
article here.
the link
A
in the
Glock
article.
in the holster. A Glock in the holster randomly went off without anything touching it on its own.
Yeah,
Go
you've
for it.
managed to somehow go over 3 safeties.
Even this SIG, you
No,
have
this
to
doesn't
stop
happen.
for it to
Glocks
go
don't
off.
go off. And,
You know, like
I guarantee
Yeah, it's not a
this
SIG.
guy is sick of his pistol digging into his side while he's sitting driving his vehicle.
right,
He's
'cause
on
it's
his
a
way to
big
the- on
freaking
his way to
pistol, and
work.
It's probably super uncomfortable.
yeah.
On his way to work, he's pulling it out of the holster so that it doesn't dig into his side while he drives. In doing so, he's either putting it back in the holster or pulling it out, something, be his finger or just like part of the seatbelt or something like that on the way, has hit the trigger.
Or that, or he's like, if he's just pulling it out like a little bit and like keeping it in the holster rather than just setting it on the seat or something, like while he's sitting in that and goes over a bump, it could hit something and go off. Because yeah, the trigger is going to be out of the part that covers it. and it will make it go bang into your leg.
Like, full
a
stop.
fucking idiot.
This guy hit the trigger. Something hit the trigger. I don't believe for a fucking second that it was in the holster, not being messed with, and it just randomly went off.
Yeah, no fucking gun. Like,
straight up negligence.
No, like the SIG that everyone's talking about, you had to drop that. You had to hit it pretty hard for it to go off. There was like the Winchester shotgun that had an issue that, like, even that you had to like shake the gun fairly substantially. Like, you had to do something to it. You couldn't just like leave it sitting there and like nothing happens and it just goes off. That there is no gun that has ever been that poorly manufactured that it just all of a sudden the mechanism that holds the firing pin back just shits the bed and it goes off. That does not happen.
And this guy, I understand. There's no way in hell he wants to admit that he just shot himself in the leg by being a fuck up. So he's like, I don't know. Fucking thing went off on its own.
It just went off. Yeah, you have to prove that it didn't.
Yeah.
Getting back into the article a little bit, because there is something I want to talk about with that, is according to the CBC, Glocks have gained a reputation for what is being referred to as Glock leg, which is a situation where the person shoots themselves when holstering or unholstering their gun while their finger is on the trigger. I have never heard of this term. That's not a thing.
That's not a thing.
First of all,
I'm curious though if this
when someone asks me a question,
Glock leg comes around, is everyone wearing a Serpa holster to go with their issued Glock.
When someone asks me a question at the gun range, I don't say, "Well, let's go check out the CBC."
But like, it's the making.
You should start.
Jesus.
Well, but the CBC only makes it worse, because then they go and they get an expert, this Tony DeSalvatore guy, who's apparently a British Columbia firearms instructor and owns something called Canadian Firearms Academy Limited. And he has terrible explanations of handguns.
Yeah, let's go on that. Let's just give an example. So the trigger.
Sorry, before we go into that, in case this goes to Mr. DeSalvatore, if the CBC quoted you out of context, or this is actually accurately quoted, and you would like to come on Canadian Patriot podcast and explain yourself or explain to me how the CBC misquoted you, this is your open invitation to come and make it up to the gun community, because you're being quoted as an expert, and Marty's about to tell you why you're wrong.
All right. Well, I'm just going to use one example from this article here of the trigger. And this should get anybody that's familiar with the functioning of firearms, this should get everyone going. So let's just start off with the trigger. And I'm quoting here. The Glock is a double action only type of firearm. That means the gun doesn't have an external hammer which strikes the firing pin and ignites the cartridge. Rather than a hammer, a Glock is cocked when you rack the slide. Usually the only way to decock is to pull the trigger. In contrast, many Smith & Wessons are double action, which makes them more likely to have an external hammer. It means there's an option to cock the hammer before firing or have the trigger cock the hammer. So the issue here is that the Glock is a double action as opposed to the Smith & Wessons, which are double action.
The derp is strong with this one.
Yeah. That
is not what a double action or a double action only handgun is.
I'm going to just go out on a limb and say that, like, if they're going all the way to BC to talk to a firearms expert, there's a guy out that way that, like, we've tried to have on the show many times, but unfortunately we have to keep bumping him. That maybe would have been a better. Yes, that maybe would have been a better candidate.
Ralph Goodale.
Yeah. A better candidate than whoever this guy is. Just saying. You know, like,
yeah, I hope that this gentleman was misquoted and this is not actually someone who's providing firearms instruction, because the action of the firearm has precisely nothing to do with the style of hammer with which the firearm contains.
So
there's literally no.
We don't need to go into explaining the whole functionality, but you know, for listeners if you're not familiar with this, take a look and don't get your expertise from this article. And for those of you who are aware, just join us in the pain of reading this article and screaming at your respective screens.
Yeah, instead, tune into this show for all of your firearms expertise and legal advice.
Yes.
The views and opinions expressed on Canadian Patriot Podcast are those of the commentators making them, and don't hold me liable for anything they say, but we might show up to court if you're a Patreon.
$3 an episode, and you have character witness.
Exactly.
All right,
we need to add that
now.
now.
Yes, we do.
I'll talk to the social media guy about setting it up.
Oh, that seems to go.
All right, next one. Coming to us from the National Post, Canadian passports are soon to have a gender-neutral option. Immigration Minister Ahmad Hussein says his department is the first to introduce an interim measure, part of the government-wide initiative to make all government-issued documents gender-neutral. This is part of the initiative from Justin Trudeau's election promise to reflect the gender diversity of Canadians. Says that Canadians should be free to express their gender as they choose. So they're making an option to put the letter X on passports. So passports from Canada are about to get rejected by the vast majority of the country in the world because they don't recognize anything except for male and female.
So that's the question I have. I'm thinking of myself, and I mean, you guys are aware of the types of countries that I fly into.
Allegedly.
Those types of countries are not going to be accommodating of a male-female X option.
Would not even Saudi Arabia?
No, they're going to be more of the opinion of get back on the plane. You're not welcome.
Come up to this rooftop.
Yeah. I've got this wooden stage for you to stand up on.
Here, hold this rope.
Yeah, you're gonna want to come up on the rooftop. You're gonna be real fucking good.
I'm all for people having the ability to express themselves as long as they're not hurting others, or like whatever they decide to do in the privacy of their home is their business, and whatever they decide to do in public spaces, as long as they're not infringing on other people's freedoms in the public spaces, like go nuts. But these are legal documents that we need to get into other countries with. Don't jack with these. Like,
well, to be fair, it'll only be
standards that everyone uses.
It'll only be
identify.
Put that X down.
I say identify as wear the underwear of whatever the hell you want. I don't give a fuck. But on your legal documents, X chromosome, Y chromosome, take your whatever you have. That's what you have. That's what's on your legal document when you.
Maybe that would be a better way. Maybe that would be a better way to put it down, right?
So instead of having one X, just have two X's or an X and a Y.
Yeah, or like if you happen to be one of those people that has like XXY or something like that, you could put that down too, because that's a thing. Like if you happen to be like one of those genetic anomalies.
In Western society, you know, where we are very accommodating of this type of thing, but it's only Western society that's accommodating of this type of thing. The rest of the world is not yet.
Well, not even.
So you now have a passport that's right, but like you now have a passport that's basically useless 2/3 of the world. Like that doesn't make any sense. And I understand, you know, wanting to lead by example and show our tolerance, but a legal document needs to be fucking useful.
Yeah,
I just logged out of Facebook, and then there's my picture on the left, and it says create a new account. It's free and it always will be. And there's first name, last name, mobile number, email, new password, birthday, and then I can check female or male.
Right.
So I went into Build-A-Bear earlier today with my lovely girlfriend, and when you get to assign your name to your bear, for those of you that have done this, and those that haven't, you go and do this whole crazy art ceremony thing, and like you have the birth certificate for your bear. It asks you what your bear's gender is. Guess how many options there are?
Like 2.
Yeah.
Can you
So even
pay for-
even build a bear.
Can you do
only
a 23andMe
recognizes
on the
2.
bear?
Not yet, but soon.
That's an add-on.
Is attack
23andMe.
helicopter one of the 2 options?
No. But
Oh.
Soon.
it should be. If there is going to be a third, that should be it. But like, I think it's ridiculous. If anything, they should just not ask you. Like, just don't put it on at all. You know, rather than like creating a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 500th option, just don't put it on it.
It seems to me that there seems to be an agreement
Or
between nations on
Just
what
stick
information
with
is in the passport.
what's going to get me into the most countries with the least amount of hassle.
Yeah.
Because as somebody that often travels as well to strange places, I don't like the hassle. It's already hard enough traveling places with Andrew when he's got a box of business cards on him.
Yeah, TSA was having none of that. All right, let's do the next one. I'm putting a hard time limit on this one for 15 minutes. So the Ontario Teachers Union wants to take Sir John A. Macdonald's name off of schools due to the fact that he committed, using air quotes, genocide.
Yep. Definitely. Big genocide.
Now, for those of you not familiar, genocide is one of the worst things you can do. It's right up there with denying someone's gender, or not letting them express or change their gender.
It's up there with calling somebody by the incorrect pronoun. One of the 2 is probably the worst.
Yes. Other similar infractions would be like, refusing to bake a cake.
Or parking in a parking lot across the line. That's pretty bad too.
Yes. Another CBC article.
I don't know that we necessarily need to get into the individual. I have a bunch of articles in the show notes about what's going on with this, and I have my regular show prep notes in the show notes that anybody can read.
So let's just stop being sarcastic assholes and talk about it quickly.
Sarcastles.
Yeah. All right, Gavin's lost his audio, so that's where we're kind of stumbling a bit here. But all right, it's bullshit. I mean, this is it again. It's virtue signaling. It's looking for a place to to assert themselves where it doesn't need to be. It's just bullshit.
I'd say it's worse than that, Marty. It's one particular person. It's David Maston, the president of the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario, Durham local chapter of the Teachers Union. His motion at the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario gets together once a year for like a general meeting where they vote on various motions. They have no power to actually remove names from schools or to name schools. That all falls to the individual school boards, and they generally are run by a set of trustees, and the trustees are who chooses and assigns a name to a school, right? So this gentleman brought forward a motion at the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario general meeting proposing that the union approached the Durham District School Board to have them not name a new school after Sir John A. Macdonald. For everyone out there in podcast land that doesn't know, he's our first prime minister. It's kind of a big deal. We name lots of things after him, like the 401 schools.
Yeah, it's
the reasoning is the part that is upsetting about this. It's the logic that Maston applies is that the thought that there could be Indigenous children in public houses of learning who could be triggered by negative thoughts. That's his reasoning for why he wants to ban this, is because you might upset someone because they're going to a building with a person's name on it. This is the slipperiest of slope arguments. Like,
again,
if we're going to start taking people's name off.
honestly, this is such an important part of our history. This is essentially the founding of this country. And yes, I'll even give you that there is, there is portions of the founding of this country that is, in hindsight, there's issues with it. There's, people's rights potentially were trodden upon, depending on your perspective of the history. Like, I'll engage that, but that doesn't change the fact that that is the history of this nation. That is an incredibly important part of our nation. This is our first prime minister. There's a reason why we commemorate that. There is a reason why we remember that, and to try to eliminate that portion of our history, I think that's a huge disrespect on all sides. Not, you can't have the conversation about, how those types of actions, would be perceived in today's society if you just ignore it altogether.
So that measuring stick that they're using of like today's society for how they're judging historical figures. First off, the benchmarking system for that is an atrocious way to measure something, because obviously things change over time. Not saying that slavery is a good thing, but at one point it was legal in many parts of the world to have slaves. It still is in some parts of the world. That doesn't mean that it's not morally reprehensible by our standards today. That's just, there have been and continue to be slaves.
Right.
There have
pretending it never happened doesn't allow you to appreciate or learn from that.
Right. Particularly in this case, okay, colonialism, people come and settle the country and they form Canada, and you could argue that they did it at the expense of Indigenous peoples that were already here. I don't know that that actually means that MacDonald is responsible for genocide, that the way that this person from the teachers union is making him out to be.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah, he built a railroad, but most of the natives had already become extinct. Isn't the right word, but the native population had already died off severely by the time MacDonald was in power. So laying Indigenous genocide at the feet of MacDonald is hardly a fair assessment of historical fact if we want to look at the history of things. And even if he did go around and like decide he was going to kill the Indians, again, not historically accurate, but if that's what we're going to say he did, why are we not discussing that? Why are we not naming public institutions after him for all of the other good things that he did while he was running the country?
Well, why would you go and let facts ruin a good story, Andrew?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, why are we saying that one bad thing that someone's done now colors the entire story? That's very narrow-minded.
So I 100% agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, to me, it's like eliminating them. Like, even if you have and that's how I'm getting, like, even if you have the impression, like, okay, I'm going to take the side that he committed genocide on all the Indigenous people, and it was him alone. Like, he 007 was a special agent and single-handedly genocided the entire Indian population. Eliminating him from the history books does not help the situation in any way. Like, you would want to remember that and call out there was a individual that single-handedly, caused genocide. Like, that type of thing, if that were to be true, they should be even more remembered and held up as an example of what not to do. Like,
I have it on good authority,
from
though,
history.
that eliminating things from history and tearing down statues and pulling names off of things is actually a great way to have progress and move forward past these things. It's very popular now.
Well, boy, oh boy, do I have a list for you. If you want to get rid of things that could be offensive because someone did something wrong at some point in history, we're going to get to rename McGill University, the province of British Columbia, the cities of Brantford and Kitchener, Ontario, the city of Victoria, British Columbia, Chateau Laurier, the Canadian Coast Guard ship Diefenbaker, the Jacques Cartier Bridge, Bell Canada. Like, there's a list. If you look at an individual act that any historical Canadian figure has committed where it was bad in context of today's morality, You may as well just take the names
So-
off of everything, take down all the statues, and have ones of history.
So
Literally
you think
everyone.
that I think the only obvious solution is to rename Kitchener back to New Berlin.
Well, okay, that part particularly kills me. Like, they renamed Berlin to Kitchener immediately following the First World War. So they named it after a guy who was the commander of British forces during the Boer War, who's arguably a war criminal.
Wow. I mean, arguably is one thing, but I mean, people from Berlin were actually the bad guys in World War I and II.
So that was the fun thing about it. They were basically like, "Ooh, Berlin seems like a poor choice in the current, social climate. We should change it to something else."
We'll go with this British general. We'll go with Field Marshal Herbert Kitchener. That's a solid name. Let's go with that guy. Oh yeah, no, he literally built concentration camps in South Africa.
Yeah,
and put Boers in them. Like, literally built concentration camps.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd like to put a few Boers in concentration camps, and I don't mean that as the ethnic group, but as people that just bore me.
Ralph Goodale.
There's things on this that
That's my answer. Next.
if we're gonna look at a bad,
so
thing,
everything's
something
offensive, and anything that offends me should be eliminated from history. That's what I'm getting from this.
And everybody I don't agree
that
with
is
on the
exactly
internet
how
is literally Hitler.
I did some
and
research.
we have to remember that we're all doing this so that we don't trigger some indigenous heritage student because they might see someone's name on a building and that could upset them.
Yeah. So this is I guess $10,000 a month doesn't get you much anymore. So David Maston isn't too happy with his position, so he's throwing some stink around. I just checked the Sunshine List. The guy got like 11.43% raise last year, and now he's making just over $10,000 a month. So
Whoa,
It's despicable.
a double-digit raise?
yeah,
Wait a second. Didn't you get your double-digit raise last year?
no, I'm private
No.
sector.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not a
So-
union rep.
I can't
I
say
mean,
that
I
I did.
assume that everybody in the private sector, like, aren't you guys like, aren't we all just running like tax havens and getting
No.
huge 20%
Oh, yeah.
raises every year?
Yeah, but
Just
if
my
I
red
give
meat.
if I give myself a raise, I have to declare that.
That's why I just give myself ammunition instead. It's technically it's a business expense.
Yeah.
All right, we also have feedback from YouTube. Josh says removing our history is all they want. If you remove a people's history, you can then remove people's culture and heritage. Do you guys have any other closing thoughts for this one before we go to the next thing?
I would say
No,
that is
actually,
pretty-
I think he
pretty
makes a
accurate.
good point. No, I think he makes a good point in that it seems like the goal is that there is no white culture or heritage.
Yeah, don't you know that European Canadian heritage is something you should be ashamed of? I mean, as someone of Dutch ethnicity, I would think you would be well versed in this.
Yeah.
Well,
And I mean,
No. It's
obviously that type
okay.
of comment is going to trigger.
It's okay to be proud of your Dutch heritage because there are lots of dykes.
yeah, but
Good point,
as a
sir.
quote here, from Sarah.
But even
Dennis,
still, if you notice, it's always still a boy holding it together.
He does have his finger in a lot of dykes.
What was Tim going to say?
Sarah Dennis Coogee, speaking for a group who's pushing for Ryerson's name to be changed, said that arguably he did not bring this country together. It was indigenous people who brought this country together. We're the reason why settlers were able to survive in this country in the first place. So, something to think about.
So prior to the formations of Upper and Lower Canada, when we learned how to utilize existing resources from the natives before they all died out, and then several hundred years later, when we built a railroad that literally united the country, I can totally see how it was actually the indigenous people that did that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so why don't we just build a new school with their name on it too? And then like,
Oh no, we can't build a new school for Indigenous people. That'll cause a whole other thing. Don't you remember the whole residential school issue?
no. It doesn't have to be like just for them. It could be like a school for everybody named after somebody from their history. Like, who cares? It's a frigging school. It's got to be called something.
I got it. We could call it Joseph Brant. He was leader of the Mohawks. They named the city of Brantford, Ontario, after him. The only catch is he actually owned a lot of slaves and probably sold his own people out to the Brits. But I mean, minor detail. We could put his name on a building, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or just find somebody from
mean,
history that nobody really knows about.
I went to school named after St. George. He slayed a fucking dragon, guys.
Okay,
That doesn't sound very
that's pretty
vegan
badass.
It's not vegan friendly.
Yeah.
See a White Walker?
No, it's the other kind of dragon.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm just
You
saying,
did both of
like
those
when you hear about the stories of the people settling here, they talk about like the sailing ships being slowed by like freaking like they're hitting fish, and the enough fish to like slow them down. Like I just don't. Anyway, I just don't think like it's just for people to come here from Europe and settle in North America with like its rich abundance compared to what Europe had. It's possible that that they're kind of overplaying this whole we would have survived here.
Suppose it's possible.
It's possible.
Plausible, if you will.
Yeah. We're problem solvers.
That's implausible.
All right. The closing comment that I have for this is a quote from 1984. It's the party's motto: "Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past." And that is exactly what these people are doing. They are the party. This is 1984.
No. It's because it's 2015.
It is the current year.
It's the current year. Yeah.
They are trying to rewrite history.
That book, obviously, it's well perceived as, but it's been such a prophetic book. Like, there's so many applicable things from that book that are, you look at today's society.
I like the meme and it goes, "Hey, this was a warning, not a manual."
All right, let's do the last one. I want to talk about the irregular migration. Checking the show notes, we have lots of links to lots of things. I don't think we need to talk about the individual articles, but they're there for all the details about why we're arriving at the comments that we're arriving at. So the Prime Minister has decided to not declare the recent arrivals of certain, we'll call them Haitians, into Quebec as illegal immigrants. Going so far as at a press conference recently where reporters were asking him about illegal immigrants, he kept reframing the question as irregular migrants.
Can I be an irregular taxpayer then?
You're already an irregular.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I don't think that
one of the articles we have here is the Toronto Sun, and it's a will about the Sun, but they did point out, like, I think a very valid thing was that by calling them, what do they call them, irregulars instead of illegals, like, it's such a dumb turn of phrase that even when, like, he's in his own text, as he's trying to make the statement as, like, there's no advantages to arriving irregular to arriving, and then he's like, he has no word for legal, and so he stumbles on it and he's like, regularly instead of irregularly.
It's like audio of that. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's clearly, it's like, okay, if illegal is your opposite, then illegal. If legal is what you're saying, then illegal is clearly what they're arriving at. Like these are illegal migrants. They're crossing illegally and claiming asylum status. And what the biggest piss off about it is they're getting a clear advantage. If they arrived legally, showed up too accustomed to CBSA post, they showed up to the border and said, "I'm here. I'm an American from Haiti. From Haiti. I want to claim asylum status." They'd be turned away. If they arrive here illegally, walk across, just show up to an RCMP and be like, "Yep, I'm here illegally. Asylum." They're giving health care, and they're here until they can go through an immigration hearing, which, what is the delay at this point? Does anybody know?
11 years, I think.
11, something like that, yeah. 11 years. And even if it was 3 months from now, with our Prime Minister right now, who is the only thing he cares about is his image on the sort of the world's perspective. Even if it's only a few months, you know damn well he's going to find a loophole or just a pardon to allow these people to become Canadians, so that he doesn't have to go back on his stupid tweet that he made to needle Donald Trump with everyone is welcome in Canada.
But you know what, though? Everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome to migrate regularly, i.e. legally.
Well,
Correct.
so long as they meet the right criteria.
Right. And as we've all discussed, per the Safe Third Country Act, migrants from the United States are not able to claim asylum in Canada. Per the Safe Third Country Act, either Canada will respect the immigration decision of the United States, and the United States will respect the immigration decision of Canada. These people should be turned back immediately per the international agreement that we already have between our nations. Except that we have a Prime Minister who is more concerned about saving face on his Twitter account than he is protecting the rights and the welfare and the funds of our citizenship.
Yeah. Well, I think I've said it before, this whole thing is messed up because, and talking with my cousins while I was away visiting them, they both are doctors. Like, my one cousin is a PhD marine biologist who has lectured all over Europe. How easy is it for him to get into Canada? Not fucking easy at all. He needs to go and he needs to get a visa, and the chances of him getting a visa are very slim unless, me or my family or somebody else sponsors him and says that we will be financially responsible for him. He's fucking educated. So what's the worst thing that happens if he stays here? My other cousin is a dentist who owns 2 practices back home, and he has to go through the same bullshit. But asylum seeker who's technically not seeking asylum because you just don't want to go home to your country even though we spent millions of dollars rebuilding it. Sure, we'll take you. How is that fucking fair?
No, they're getting an advantage. They're basically getting free healthcare, free living for 11 years versus someone who tries to come here legally.
Yeah,
so
but
the illegal process, because of our Prime Minister, is now a lot more advantageous than the legal process.
Oh, yeah.
But I think we touched on this last episode, though. As soon as you enter the country illegally, you've broken the law, and that should all but remove all of your chances of becoming a citizen here because you're now, you've broken the law kind of thing. There's a process to this, and people need to adhere to it.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so it gets more exciting than that. Marty kind of touched on it earlier when he was talking about the costs that are involved with this. But we're now at the point where we're going to give 4,000 of these asylum seekers checks. We're just giving them checks for $623. It's the basic monthly payment for something for whatever they've had to do to qualify to get government handout money. So they're telling them to all go to Palace de Congress. I don't know. It's a place in Montreal. I don't parlez-vous français. You figure it out. So they're telling them that all the asylum seekers that have been here long enough to get their government check show up to Palace de Congress, get your check, and now you have to find permanent accommodation. You're no longer allowed to live in the temporary shelter. So whatever that criteria is that has not been clearly defined in the mainstream media, big shock. We're going to start moving them out of, which is probably for the best, moving them out of the temporary shelters, which we shouldn't have had in the first place, and telling them to find accommodation. My only issue with this is that we're now paying for blank checks for them to spend whatever they want on, whereas before we were just having the military set up mod tents for them to sleep in, which we're still doing. We're just doing it in Cornwall now instead of in Quebec. So that's super. So I'm glad we have, what they set up housing for in Cornwall? 500 people, something like that?
To be fair, I probably would prefer to be in a tent in Cornwall than in the Expo Center in Montreal.
But okay, let's just look at it this way. What do you think is going to happen to all of these asylum seekers that are living in tent cities, whether it be Montreal or Cornwall, when it hits wintertime?
They're going to freeze their balls off.
No. The government is going to, like, oh, we can't have them living in tents in the wintertime. So they're going to start trying to find them government housing. They're going to start finding them places to stay.
They'll get them in hotels, like the Syrians who complain about how they feel abandoned in their hotel rooms. You know,
and all those displaced Garth Brooks fans. They got the boot in, what was it, Kitchener, I believe it was, or New Berlin, or Old New Berlin, if you will.
All right, I got nothing else for that. You guys got anything else? Closing comments?
Got one thing, and it's just a quick one, but it's just like for every 16 immigrants we give $621 for, then we can't pay that Dennis Mattis guy or whatever from the public teachers union.
Okay. My closing comments on this are this, that first off, this entire situation was caused by Trudeau trying to virtue signal to the rest of the world, showing what a nice guy Canada is versus Donald Trump. Like this is absolutely him trying to virtue signal, trying to needle Donald Trump. His Twitter joke that he thought was so funny is now costing Canadians millions of dollars. It's given false hope to all of these asylum seekers. This has caused irreparable worldwide damage.
I wouldn't call it.
And rather than trying to,
they are getting the money and they are getting into the country. Like
one poor guy lost his fingers.
You know, rather than trying to, like, you know, rather than realizing the mistake he's done, the damage he's caused, and trying to, you know, step in and correct that, he's doubling down on it. He's trying to save face. He's spending more of our taxpayer monies to try and, you know, cover up for the fact that he's a fucking idiot.
Well, but if he backtracks on it, he's going to lose votes. If he just carries on with it, he's going to gain more votes than he loses.
I know.
And it's all about the votes, baby. It's all about the votes.
You're right.
More people means more tax dollars.
And our forces are the ones dealing with this shit, too. That's an even bigger piss off.
Yeah.
Cut all the money from our forces, then have them do our dirty work for us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could just stop paying the RCMP to hand out bottles of water. That would save some money right there.
Certainly wouldn't hurt. All right, let's do limerick time with Tim. So we've got some patriotic limericks. I'm still going with that. I don't think they're patriotic anymore. I think they're just limericks now. But
hey,
all right,
we the Patriots now.
So I think what we'll do is we've got 3 limericks. We'll take a vote as the panel, and whoever has the best limerick wins. And then Tim will send them that T-shirt, and we still owe Benny a T-shirt too. So
Yes, we do.
all right, first one comes to us from Steve H.
There once was 7,000 Haitians who really were trying my patience. They weren't feeling merry because Trump is so scary, and now they're on perma vacations.
Who was that again?
The email said Steve H. I did not realize that Professor Hawking listened to the show.
I was gonna say, is that Moon Man's real name? But
No, I mean, impressive and that really shows the listener the caliber of people we have listening to this podcast.
I think though, I think he missed a word though in the first sentence.
He's an award-winning astrophysicist. I think we can overlook a missing like.
No, I
We have
think
enough
he's
people that
gotta
say
pay
like and
attention to
nothing
that kind of
else.
stuff.
Tim is a stickler. I mean, it's his lyric. So
I think he's disqualified. I've never heard of the guy.
All right. Next one from one of our biggest fans, it's Victoria's submission.
Once, there was like 7,000 Haitians who were really trying my patience. They were not feeling merry because Trump is so scary, and now they're here and on perma vacations.
All right, last one is our friend Kyle.
I like it.
There once was like 7,000 Haitians who were really trying my patience. They were not feeling merry because Trump is so scary. Now they're here and on perma vacations.
I mean, that's 3 quality entries right there, I'd say.
yeah, all very different.
Yeah. All
Also,
genuine entries as well, I'd say.
definitely genuine. I do want to thank Kyle for sending his entry as I was doing my show prep this evening, and also for sending me the test track where he was playing with the voice modulator. That made it exciting for me.
Oh, he disguised his voice.
I think so. I don't know. There was like a test track, and then he's like sent me a follow-up email with the real limerick.
Was the test track, was it like there once was 7,000
Irregular immigrants?
look at my socks.
Well, Tim, the choice. I think the choice obviously has to go to you as the sponsor of said.
I think
Who gets a shirt, Tim?
We'll give it
Is
to
it gonna be
Kyle.
my wife?
We'll like to see if there's some show notes there on the Hangout sidebar.
Your wife. Shocking shenanigans being held here.
It was open. It was open to podcasters, and she's woke.
Yeah, she was on the show.
Yeah. But I think if we get it to Kyle. So Kyle, if you want to pick olive drab or Savannah Brown and pick a size, we'll get you one of the distressed Canadian flag shirts.
Yeah, just send me the email, Kyle. Same place you sent the limerick to. I'll see it. Don't worry. We'll eventually get it mailed out to you.
I've never heard of that Stephen Hoppy guy though.
He's probably from Portland, where they have all that gross skunky beer.
Oh yeah. All the
Is he-
IPAs.
Yeah,
Is he related to Hans Hermann Hocking?
I believe so.
It's Hoppy Night in Canada.
I think they also invented that hops number 9 stuff too.
Yes. Holy shit. Let's go through the hop.
The hop ace number 9.
Yeah.
The
that might
next
be
one
a
looks like
t-shirt.
it's yours too, Tim. This is.
Oh yes. We have an event coming up. Charity event, since we like charity events and we like shooting with people and for charity. And so we're announcing the second annual Fuck Cancer Charity Shoot. It'd be the Fuck Cancer Charity Shoot 2017, and it will be held on October 7th, 2017, this year. That's why we named it Fuck Cancer Charity Shoot 2017.
That would be a good reason.
Really, I should not have
And
mentioned that shit.
where are we planning on holding it? We've got the
Where are we
October
planning
7th
it?
date. Where are
Where are we
thinking?
planning on holding it? That's a better question.
Everywhere.
It's
Well, I understand there's a college parking lot in Ottawa that's open for business.
yes. The shoot will be held between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m.
Yes. If
You
you
have
have
to bring your
a
own
Honda
safe
Civic.
Yeah.
Bring your Honda
We're
Civics
working on a venue at this point.
and your Mac 11s.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can watch your Mac 11s and your Honda Civics.
Serious notes, though.
No,
We're
it'll-
looking in Southern Ontario, October 7. It'll be a day event. Anybody that's done one of our shoots before, the 7th Annual Canadian Firearms Podcast Charity Shoot, Fuck Cancer 2016. People that have attended those shoots, you know the drill. We'll figure out registration. You show up, you give us your money, you do the shooting. We'll have range officers there. We'll have loaner guns and ammo there. There'll
We'll have a
probably be
great
some
time,
sort of
yeah.
food and events going on. Once the guns
Yeah.
get put away, we'll congregate in a place that serves beer and chicken wings.
Yeah, it'll be a
And
good
again,
time.
What I like about the model that we've created is it's very hard libertarian. It's just like we collect the money from good, hardworking people who would enjoy guns, and we hand that directly to someone who is affected by cancer.
Yep.
No tax shekels being skimmed off the top.
Yeah. You didn't see nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
do
think
we-
we have,
do we have
a very solid person in line for this year that's been heavily affected by cancer. So hopefully once we get a location, we can kind of talk further about that. But definitely, there's a very deserving family in line.
Yeah, this is someone who is currently dealing with cancer, and they're a general contractor, so like they've lost a lot of their strength and they're having difficulty doing their work. They haven't completed their house. We're going to do a full write-up on it and try to get it down to like a soundbite we'll play as we get closer to as we promote the show. But this guy's dealing with the county or whatever, the billing board is contacting him and going, you're supposed to have your house finished by like this date. And he's just like, oh, sorry, I've been battling a very rare cancer for the past like 11 months. And then they replied back and said, oh, we're sorry to hear that. What kind of cancer was it? Was it the bad cancer?
No, it was the good kind that makes me
Yeah.
stronger.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the kind that like I shoot rainbows out of myself now.
yes,
Yeah.
It's the kind you
rainbows
want.
are actually just the radiation leaving.
Yes.
Not
Yeah.
good. You don't want it.
I'm physically weaker, but I have gained a 7th and 8th sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Fuck. Oh, the government's
Yeah,
terrible.
stay tuned. The details narrow down. Everything will be on the website. It'll be a link at the top bar, like always. Go to CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Look way up at the top. There'll be something there for the Fuck Cancer charity shoot.
Yeah, start a Fuck Cancer charity shoot swear jar. Start digging
Yeah.
in your couch. Every little bit helps.
and
Take
like
your
we said,
teenagers
this
and
is,
shake them upside down.
Yeah, no, this money is directly going to the person affected. So, it's not like one of those charities where you give them like, $100 and maybe $2 of that actually goes to the people in need. Every single penny goes to the person in need.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
we're not building houses in
it's-
Haiti here. Like,
yeah. So literally anything you have for this will make a huge impact in somebody's life. So, don't think that any donation or whatever you could do is too small for this. Everything will help, seriously.
all right. Rapid fire feedback. First thing we've got is an email from Jordan. Hey guys, as always, great show and entertainment. I'm renewing my firearms license and came across to renew online. I'm pretty sure you touched on this in a previous episode not too long ago. Shit, apparently I can't drop a screenshot in the text box. You should work on that. That's the way the internet works. Deal with it, Jordan.
Better just
It
send us an
says on
email
the
at
RCM
feedback at Canadian.
That's what text box means, but
It says on the RCMP's website, who can use the online service to renew a license? You cannot renew your firearms license online if any of the following conditions apply to you. You are requesting a religious exemption from providing a photograph with your license. I'm sorry, but how is this even an option at all for any application method? How can the RCMP, who are all about public safety and protecting the public and Crown, allow this? I understand it's part of some people's religion spacing and stuff, dude.
no,
I'm
it's just
sorry,
your
but how
reading
is
is bad.
Yeah, no, it's just my... Okay, well, whatever. I'll fix it in post. I'm sorry, but how is this even an option for... Oh my god, fuck.
Okay, I'll
I'm
just
sorry,
read
but
this.
how is this even an option at all for method? How can the RCMP, who are all about public safety and protecting the public and Crown, allow this? I understand it's part of some people's religion and they should have rights of some sort, but not when it comes to a matter of security and public safety, should it? When is this going to stop? How far is this going to go? Is this not totally hypocritical? Sorry for the rant. On another note, I just listened to episode 91. I'm behind this month. In regards to the Discover Canada book to study from. I skimmed it outline and thought I should have a free copy for myself also. There were some great tidbits on Canadian history, politics, and other things that I found interesting and forgot about since I learned them in grade school or not at all. Thanks for the info on it. Cheers for now, guys. Keep up the great work, and an episode's pumping out.
Don't forget your
So,
free
thanks.
copy of the Charter of Rights as well.
That's right. You can get it in like 17 different languages. Collect them all, man.
Yeah, and get them all framed.
Remember
and
to
put 'em up.
order them individually. It really helps if you spread the shipping costs out across multiple orders.
Yeah, but no, I mean that whole nonsense is bullshit. But to be fair, the people that
There's two parts
probably-
here. Two parts to this feedback. Let's start off with the lack of photos on firearms licenses.
Yeah, that's nonsense. But to be fair, the people that they're probably made this exemption for are probably not the kind of people that are going to be allowed by their husbands to own firearms.
So that I know we've discussed on this previously. I don't know how much we got into. I don't remember because this is a while back. Now, Gavin's referencing. So clearly, Muslims are one that they don't want. They don't want their photos on the licenses. One that people don't realize is Mennonites. Mennonites as well have a religious exemption in certain cases in terms of not having photos on their licenses, especially in the area that kind of we're in. There's a lot of Mennonites. So it's
Do they even
not
own guns, though?
specifically for... What's that?
Would Mennonites even be okay with guns even for hunting?
Oh, all
yes.
of them have guns.
Yeah.
Yes. No, they all have pals. Now, they don't have our pals. They all have pals. And they all have firearms. And they're all licensed. Absolutely. And they have licenses without photos.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how that whole, I know that they obviously slaughter cows and stuff like that for eating because they make amazing sausage. I just wasn't sure how the whole guns and hunting thing went with them because I know that they're against violence and that's why they don't have mustaches and buttons. Because that's indicative of military.
You would be getting your religion secular.
Yeah, well, whatever.
But anyways, the Mennonites definitely. Yes, they don't have mustaches. I'll give you that one, but they do have pals, and
no, but the
a
reason,
lot of them, depending on
they don't have
wrangle this back onto the topic, or we're gonna just fix it in post.
Exactly. Yeah,
fine.
But a lot of them. That is a religious exemption for them. Is that they don't have photos and they don't have photos in their pals. That is an option for them. It's not. This isn't a specifically that isn't a specifically Muslim thing. Like this originally became a big deal with an sort of a video that was made by the Faith Goldie at the time under the Sun News, saying that like, oh, Muslims have this option of not having photos, and how crazy is it? Yeah, in general, even for Mennonites and for Muslims, I agree that it is a bit crazy that we allow this type of licensing, sort of government ID, without having a photograph on it.
Yeah, but
it is what it is. Like,
fair, we haven't exactly had a problem with Mennonites going crazy.
Right.
I wonder how many licenses I have applied for to
exemption.
not have a photo on.
Go for
Like,
it.
what kind of proof? I wonder what kind of proof I need in order to substantiate my religious claim that I don't need a photo because cameras will steal my soul or whatever. Like, I wonder if I can just tell the government that I don't want to have my picture on my stuff.
You've got a pretty gnarly beard,
possibly.
so they could possibly believe that you were part of either of those religions.
And let's be honest, like on the Mennonite side of things, they all have the same name. Like there's such a crossover on the naming. Like there's very few last names and a lot of common first names, and so there's a lot of like crossover. There's very similar, like, I'm not going to give the examples right now because I don't feel like, I don't want to do that over the podcast, but for anyone that's in this area, you'll be familiar with the common names. And there's very like repetitive first and last name.
Well, I mean, between many fundamental this type religions, there are a lot of commonalities.
Exactly. Yeah.
Have we adequately addressed the questions about how this is an option and how it impacts public safety and if it's going to stop or not?
I don't think it's going to stop.
So here's the thing is like, okay, we talked about how this, I just wanted to clarify, originally I just wanted to clarify this isn't specifically a Muslim thing.
No.
Now, how does this affect safety? In my opinion, these are, whether it's Muslims or it's Mennonites or it's whoever, these are the people that are going through the process of getting their license. They're going through they're going through the background checks and all that kind of stuff. The odds are these aren't people we need to worry about.
Yeah. Is there
like we talked about earlier
for misuse? Yes, but yeah, they're still going through the legal channels.
Yeah, as we talked about earlier, criminals don't follow the law. So, do we need to worry too much about the licensing, the fine use of the licensing? Likely not. Yes, you're like as Gavin said, there's going to be some amount of abuse, and likely there'll be more abuse on this side of things than not. But still, I think relatively to just the criminal aspect of it, I think it's going to be small.
Yeah. People are going to go buy their Mac 11s instead.
Right.
All right, we have two more emails. Both of them are from Todd. Todd's first email. Listened to your show and laughed my ass off. On a serious note about the panel, the participants are typical virtue signaling BS. I'm quite sure you will see the duck hunting guy with an Elmer Fudd hat. Also, a great topic might be the Indian blockade on Highway 6 in Ontario, just south of Caledonia. I live in Cayuga and would be happy to network with patriots in the area if you know any. Cheers, Todd. Todd's second email.
Can I just say to that?
Discussion.
Not today, ISIS.
All right, let's do them one at a time. Talk amongst yourselves about Todd's first email, gentlemen.
I don't think I've ever seen Marty wear a duck hunter hat, like an Elmer Fudd hat. Never, not even
duck
once.
hunter or Dutch hunter hat?
I don't think I've seen him wear either.
So we actually had this, like, Andrew and I had this conversation, but like, oh geez, like, who do you think he thinks the Elmer Fudd guy is? Andrew's like, yeah, it's probably you. I'm like, yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
No, he's talking about the Canadian Firearms Advisory Panel, the duck hunter guy. We were talking about the duck hunter guy?
Yeah, I would.
Wait, they actually have duck hunters on the advisory panel? I thought nobody on that.
Yeah, we said something.
Yeah, there's the FAH guy.
That's got to be a mistake. They actually put somebody that owns guns on the panel.
Well, we were saying there's like the one.
You're right.
Yeah.
Tim, you're right. I didn't think about it that way when he talked about the panel. I thought he meant the sort of the podcast panel. But you're right. Could be he's talking about the firearms advisory panel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in that
He
case,
just wanted to talk about your hat.
he totally owns one of those FUD hats.
Yeah, I could see that. Because I'm like, I get, like, we were talking about, like, I guess I'm the most, like, the country guy there is, but I'm still not, I wouldn't fall in the FUD category.
No, you own firearms that don't have wood on them.
Correct.
Yeah, this is likely in reference to our episode when we talked about the Canadian Firearms Advisory Council.
Although I'm pretty
That
sure
makes a lot
Andrew's
more
like the only
sense.
person on the panel that doesn't own a firearm with wood on it.
That's untrue.
Mm.
I have firearms with wood on them.
You do?
Correct,
I thought you gave that 22 away to Marty.
I used to have 3, and then I gave
No,
that
he's got
22
another
away to
one.
Marty. I got 2.
Yeah.
Technically, that stock on the CZ is made of wood. Technically.
Okay, yeah.
And you have wood stocks on other firearms you've just taken off.
No, and I have a wood stock on my nice over-under shotgun.
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, yeah, that's true, too. Yeah.
That's right. I own an over-under shotgun, and I shoot it a couple of times
That's almost
a
the
year.
same shotgun that I have, pretty well.
It is almost the same
I
as
really
yours.
need to get one of those.
It's even a synergy and everything.
Yeah.
Over-unders are fun.
Browning does
And
make a
and
nice
classy.
shotgun.
They're classy shotguns. Like, if I was to ever,
That's
like,
true.
have a tweed outfit, that's the gun I would carry at the time.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's the tweed outfit's fine. It's targeting the leather elbow patches. That's what you really need.
Yeah, we should totally get matching tweed outfits and wear those out to a shooting event sometime, just to really like wear those
OAS
out to
match.
an OAS
Oh.
match.
Can I wear it to an match?
So what's that?
Wear
That
mine
would
to
be
my IPSC
considered-
match.
That would have been considered like
Tweed is
camouflage
totally
at the
fine at
time.
IPSC match. It's the multicam is frowned upon.
Yeah, but tweed was the camouflage of its time, so I don't know.
Okay, so
I should be allowed
on
to-
second
yeah.
part of this first email, the Indian blockade of Highway 6 in Ontario to South Caledonia. I'm particularly not familiar with that. I mean, he's
I am. I think we
in.
can slot it in for a future topic.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the Oswego area based on the definition here, but I'm not familiar with this particular blockade, so I can't really comment further on that.
Well,
Yeah, I'm
that's
not
why
either.
my comment is I'm not surprised that an Indian blockade of Highway 6 is not public knowledge. That's not the thing. CBC is more worried about 10mm Glocks
Yeah.
All right, Todd's
simultaneously
second,
going off.
Todd's second email. Great discussion on Antifa, but I think this is just the beginning. They will escalate until the U.S. is ungovernable to try and unseat Trump. Canada, not so much, as most of them are probably use a turd hole poster to shoot their estrogen-laden load at. I should have pre-read these.
Yep.
I was at a protest in Hamilton, anti-M103, and they were there. Most of them were your typical self-loathing, genetically challenged ass munchers and diesel dykes. The scary part is that these fucktards hate Western culture more than themselves, and if let loose, they will no doubt cause havoc. We need to organize just in case.
So I want to point out the fact that this was
Yeah, I mean-
Todd pre-alcohol, post-alcohol, clearly from the two emails.
I would say that's probably accurate.
Bad news. The red pill, generally a suppository. Sorry. It's the way it is.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. Luckily, there are some people much like myself that are third generation anti-communists. So there's some people fighting the good fight.
Maybe he needs a few
So-
drinks after a shitty commute home after dodging an Indian blockade.
Yeah.
So I will comment on his need to organize just in case. I tend to agree, but I question what he means by organize. I mean, if this is like if he's saying we need to rally the troops and get the guns out and let's go and get a,
Run a protective
We ain't got no
grenade
bag
rally,
limits on them. They're
or-
Antifas.
Yeah.
right, like that kind of thing. That kind of LARPy bullshit, I think at this point is dumb, and you're just gonna get yourself into shit, and you're gonna get yourself in trouble in that way.
Yeah, it's gonna make
I
us
agree.
all look
We need
bad.
to organize. Yeah, we need to organize. So, as we mentioned before, the previous conservative election to nominate the leader for nominate the leader for the Conservative Party. There was 150,000 people voted across the country. There's 2 million firearms owners.
Yeah.
So any firearm owner that is pissed off at the current leader of the Conservative Party need only look at their fellow firearms owners.
Yep.
2 million of any demographic in this country could own the political landscape. So when you're saying we need to organize, I agree. Politically, if we organized, we could get whatever we wanted.
Oh, we'd be unstoppable.
Now,
Are you,
right.
Are you telling
Now,
me
if
we
you're
should,
saying
like,
we need
vote
to
as a
organize
block?
Correct. Yeah, if we voted as a block, we would have every political party pandering to us, offering us everything we wanted as a 2 million person block. Now, what concerns me is when I see, especially on a drunken post, saying, "Oh, we need to organize." If this is like a, as we mentioned earlier, like a 3%er type of thing, saying, we need to all grab our guns and form a militia. We're not at that point yet.
No.
We need to get to the point where we can organize politically and make a vote first. If that fails, that's when you can start looking at towards further means. But there's steps before that kind of thing.
We're certainly not saying don't make connections with people in your area, but the fact, like, we're when you need to start worrying about actually getting real is when we're not on the air anymore, as our beloved American friend has said a few times. That's when you need to really start thinking about that, because we've gotten off the soapbox at that point, because that option is clearly not working. We are still on the soapbox right now and still in the ballot box, and the ballot box is still really where it counts right now. And like Marty's saying, like, we can't even get our shit together to vote as a block. Like, we could all just join the Liberal Party and vote and totally fuck them up so that they have zero leadership whatsoever.
Yeah,
but we can't even do that.
We could have voted.
I thought we did that last time, but then he fucking made
it. Yeah,
just not ready.
Yeah, like, we could all do that, and like, even if we can't agree on who to vote for our own fucking party, we could join the other parties just to fuck with them. But we can't even do that right. But this is certainly not a call to arms. And going to rallies, like we've said before, and putting on your plate carriers with your magazine pouches and everything all jacked up, and having a med pouch full of tampons to stuff through bullet holes and things like that, is not the image that we need to project right now. That is not making anybody look good. It makes us all look like idiots. And saying that you're going and providing protection and things like that also makes us look like idiots. Talking to Vice magazine makes us look like idiots. Smarten up, be smart, and vote, and be vocal. Like, attend the rallies, but attend the rallies as a normal fucking person. Be respectful.
Yeah.
Don't wear stupid t-shirts with skulls and nonsense like that. Show up as looking like a hardworking, blue collar or white collar, respectable person. Present a good image so that we draw more people to the cause, rather than looking like some tattooed biker or something like that. That's just going to turn people off.
Yeah. And on your own time, train.
Yeah.
Get out, actually shoot, compete, do things like CQB, service rifle, get out and learn your skills, because you're right. Those times might come. We're not there. We're not even close to that point yet. But in the meantime, get your skills.
Yeah.
Build your skills up as you go.
Yeah. Get some medical training. Befriend your neighbors. Get to know your neighbors. Build a community.
Great advice.
Those are the important things. Like, who here
Join your
actually
local
knows
gun
their
club.
fucking... Yeah. Attend charity shoots.
Yeah, there's so many people that don't even join. They're not even members of their local gun club, and it's just like there's, gun clubs are rules and stuff like that, but they're also like it's a large network of usually like-minded individuals.
Yeah.
All right, you guys got anything else?
We could probably go on for hours, but I'm good.
Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking there's going to be a topic come out of this, but
yeah, I thought we already did that.
You know what? I got one more thing I want to talk about quickly. Do you guys notice that we have a substantial number of CBC articles tonight compared to usual?
Trouble
I'm
brewing.
just curious as to why the CBC is running so many gun-related articles at once.
Guns are bad, yo.
And it's just one of those things to be aware of. Is every time I see that type of a thing, I'm always hesitant about what's coming down politically in the future.
Well, I mean, the CBC, much like Google, controls the narrative.
Right. And we know the CBC works with our current ruling political party. And so every time I see that, I'm always a little hesitant about what's okay, if the CBC is running a bunch of anti-gun type stuff, what does that mean politically? What's coming down in the next couple of weeks?
That reminds me of there's a small part in Red Storm Rising where there was this CIA, or he was a CIA operative or like a military intelligence, something like that. And he was sitting here. He's like, "Oh, that's interesting." He started this. He'd always tune into this one specific network in the USSR, and watch what movies they were playing, like what propaganda movies they were playing. And he goes, "Oh, that looks like they're they're ramping up the war propaganda, So it's kind of interesting that we're just a little correlation that the CBC is the propaganda arm, the Ministry of Information of the Government of Canada.
More like disinformation.
They could be stacking public opinion.
No, man, it's Ministry of Truth.
Yeah, that's it, Ministry of Truth.
Yeah,
I need to read that again.
I'm telling you.
By the way,
the more stuff I see on the CBC, the more I'm like, I'm pretty sure I read this once in a book.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
what
probably
were we doing?
1984 and the Liberal platform.
Well, somebody let me know when we start reliving, or when we start living what Heinlein wrote. Where's my? I've got a drop for that. Maybe I don't have a drop for that.
The solution is a Starship Troopers-like military model where you have to serve to get franchised.
There you go. Tyler dropping wisdom.
He do that.
I think we've all agreed that is a model we can all get behind.
Yeah, I support this plan. All right, Tim, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at timsgoodtshirts.ca or facebook.com/timsgoodtshirts.
What? No jingle this week?
Oh, I've been. It's in there. It's I getting ideas.
Okay.
Watch out,
Gavin.
Careful, you're gonna have to add 5 minutes to your jingle.
No, I don't know if you understand the concept of a jingle. You don't get 5 minutes.
But it's quite good.
Yeah, Gavin.
Last week I did try a fist. Was it try a fist? Was that last week?
I feel like that was last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can find me on the Instagrams at urbex_GTA, or apparently on lists with the government throughout Eastern Europe.
Marty, you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Do you want me to ask you where they can find you or where they can find the podcast?
No, they know all that already.
Great, Marty. Where can people find the podcast?
www.canadianpatriotpodcast.com. They're listening to it now. They've already found it.
All right. New question. How can they share it with their friends? Maybe that's what we need to ask. I don't know. You're right. It's kind of redundant to tell people listening to the show where they can find the show. But how can they share it with their friends? How about that?
Yeah. They can share it through any of their social medias, through the Facebooks or through the Twitters. What else? The Instagrams. They can Instagram it. I think that's a thing.
Or as long as you don't use like the Google Play Store or whatever, you could share it through gab.ai.
Oh, yeah, Gab. Gab's great.
Yeah.
Gab got showed.
Did it?
Yeah, Gab is no longer on the Google Play Store because they wouldn't remove certain controversial
Americans,
their service. So Google shut them down.
As always, my name
They
is
wouldn't
Andrew.
ban who Google wanted to ban.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the current year ago. Eh?
So they can gab.ai/Canadian Patriot Podcast.
All right. We'll work on that. I don't know if we've got one of those, but we'll work on it.
No, Marty set one up. He is our social media director, remember?
That is true. And that did happen.
He's good like that.
I should log into that and see how it works.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well done. As always, my name is Andrew. You can find me at ragnaroktactical.ca. Come buy some bandages or tourniquets or take a shooting course.
Yeah, isn't there one coming
We
up?
have to apologize to Rod
Or
Giltech.
HSGI stuff.
Yeah.
Get all your HSGI tacos.
I do love
love
selling
us some
tacos.
Yeah.
Have to apologize to Rod Giltech. We couldn't fit him in this week. We're almost at 2 hours, and I got to cut this down to 45 megabytes to fit in our monthly allotment of bandwidth. For all of our listeners out there in
What's your
podcast land,
Patreon?
I'd like to remind you. Oh, we did that at the top. Go to patreon.com/ I think it's /CPP, right? It's not Canadian Patriot Podcast.
Yeah, we wanted to save people some time.
At $3, we will give you, what was it?
Character witness.
Character witness.
We will perjure
Character
ourselves in court. I mean, no, character witness is that. Yeah. that.
Allegedly.
For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you are the true north, strong and free.